Hi, good afternoon. It's Paddy Osborne here, the Dean of the London Academy of Trading. It's Friday, the 18th of November, and we're looking at the weekly insight, but really we're going to look more at a sort of an insight into the year as a whole, and also looking a little bit forward towards the end of the year and into the new year. So basically, I'm going to focus on equity markets, and I've got a few charts up here of some different equity markets. And as you probably all know already, they are all banging away pretty much at all-time highs. The FTSE is the notable exception, but basically what I want to look at here is that what is the potential for the next few weeks up to Christmas and over Christmas, but also then looking into the new year and the prospects for 2021. I think we all know we've had the crash back there in February, March. We had a pretty solid recovery, almost panic buying recovery through April, May, June and into the summer. And since then, we've had a couple of significant pullbacks. So you can see here, this is a chart of the Dow Jones, and we had about a 10% pullback here back in June. Another one over here was in October. But since the beginning of November, we've actually had a 15% rally up to a new all-time high. These red lines I've got on here are illustrating the previous all-time high, which was the pre-COVID levels. And just quickly to look at the way that the UK has underperformed, if I just flick through the DAX, which is here, and we can see just today it's now retesting the all-time high, the pre-COVID high, just for the first time. The UK has very much underperformed, and you can see here it's only retraced just over half of what it lost in that COVID crash. So the highs back in February at 7,000, nearly 7,700, and the highest we've got now is about 6,600. So we're still a good 15% off those all-time highs that we saw pre-COVID. So this is a notable exception. And then we've got the S&P, which is hitting new all-time highs. It hit the new all-time high in August and has had another couple of 10% pullbacks, but a 15% rally since the beginning of November, and again banging at all-time highs now. Dow Jones we've seen already just breaking to new all-time highs. NASDAQ absolutely the star performer of all, 3,000 points higher than it was at its pre-COVID record highs, obviously based on tech and all the tech companies that are doing so well, and we know that already, I think. So the question now is, what are we going to do for the next couple of weeks, and what do we see for prospects for next year? I think as a general rule, December's you often get what's called a Santa rally. So that's basically coming into the end of the year. We have funds looking to make their performance look as good as possible, so because they generally will measure themselves from the 31st of December. So if they can get the market pushed up a couple of percent towards the end of the year, that will make their annual returns look a lot better. So that's one thing that looks quite interesting this time of year. It can happen up to Christmas. It can happen in that short period between Christmas and New Year. So look out for that. As a general rule, I mean, what we've seen in the last sort of 6 weeks, really 7 weeks, since the beginning of November, is very much risk on. So we've got optimism. I mean, basically the human race is overtly optimistic. And I think ever since the bailout started in March from the Fed, the markets have been driven by optimism that we're going to be going back to normal, sooner rather than later, we hope. And that the COVID vaccine is here, that's going to be distributed, we're not going to have any problems with it, and life will start to return to normal next year, and hopefully by the end of next year we'll be back to normal, and life will be moving along, and companies will be moving along making profits, and of course stock market hence will be doing well. The thing is with stock market investments is that stock market investors can't wait for the market can't wait for the economy to do well before they buy. Obviously, their job is to anticipate future profits from companies, and that is indeed priced in at the moment. So there's a couple of things. There's a balance to strike here. At the moment, we have really good optimism across the board. We have good news. We've got potential fiscal stimulus and monetary stimulus from the US. So this is another $1 trillion or so, or maybe more. So once this money is pumped into the economy, that is also some of that is going to go into asset markets, including the stocks, and so that will push the markets higher as well. We've got Europe, we've got even Japan, we've got UK, all stimulating their economies with quantitative easing. So again, this money is helping to support asset prices, which is indeed stocks. So I don't see a big crash. There may be another one of these sort of 5–10% pullbacks when people get a little bit panicked, but we've seen consistently for the last 8 months or so since the COVID crash, we've seen that when the market has pulled back, there have been buyers willing to come in and buy and push the price higher. So I see that continuing. I think a lot of the good news is priced in already, but there's no reason why it can't continue to grind higher. Certainly, I don't think we're going to be flying higher by 20% next year, but I think it's going to be, if things go well, it is a big if things go well with COVID and life does get back to normal, then I see a nice steady rise in the stock market for next year. Okay, I think it's now time just to say thank you very much for listening to these weekly insights for the last several months. I hope you enjoyed them, found them useful. I'm very happy with my team and the work they've been doing. So I'd just like to take a moment to thank them for their work this year in a fairly tricky year, but we've had a record number of students, so they've been very busy and they've done a super job. So thank you for that. And lastly, I'd just like to wish everyone a very happy Christmas and a very successful and prosperous new year. Take care.